that I've rushed back home from a very heavy rain and downpour that slowed the traffic. I was in town and I had to rush all the way home, park the car and rush up, and literally I got here just at 8:17 and managed to start everything up. Sorry about that problem with the sound, but now everybody should be able to hear me. Okay, so yay, you guessed, I guess you noticed Mr. Hippo, alright? So Mr. Hippo going to join us today. Mr. Raccoon is going to be with him today. I hope y'all can see Mr. Hippo, Mr. Raccoon, right? And Mr. Duck is right here, alright? So they say hello, hello everyone, okay? Don't know if you can see them. There you go, hello, hello, hello. Right, so they're very happy. They'll be our bystanders today. They may help us with a lesson or two. Okay, so I'm going to put them kind of over here so that they can continue to be with us. Mr. Hippo right here. Okay, so welcome everybody. Oh, Ziting, I think I answered that question for you, right? Wealth is uncountable, all right? You can't say one wealth, two wealth, three wealth. Remember, uncountable nouns have numbers that cannot be attached to them, right? It must be one amount, one sum of wealth, two sums of wealth, okay? All right, okay. Everybody else should have sound. Shaden, if you're not having sound, perhaps try to turn on the volume of your device or raise the volume of your voice or your device so that you can hear, right? If you are having lag, it's probably because you have a slow internet connection. So just wait patiently, or if the lag is too serious, I can always post this video on Edmodo. You can watch it later without any lag at all, all right? So either refresh the feed, bear with the lag, turn on the volume of your device, or wait patiently, and I'll get on with the presentation. Okay, so today is going to be a little bit shorter. I'll try to go a bit faster. So if you're experiencing lag, please just do your best to bear with it, or refresh the feed, or tune out and wait for me to post the video on Edmodo. Then you should be able to follow it. Okay, so please try not to comment too much about it in the comment section. I cannot help you with the problem of lag. It has to do with your own internet speed and the connection. So try to bear with it, all right? Okay, so let's move on. So today I'm going to be going into part 2 of our English review. I will be talking about grammar, and specifically, I'm going to be looking at tenses, okay? Tenses. I'll be looking at tenses, and I'll be reviewing the 6 different kinds of tenses that we've covered this term. And yes, we have covered 6, even though we've only dealt with 2, and the more recent ones, we actually have used 6 different tenses, and I'll be talking through the 6 of them, okay? So in the comment section, please stop commenting about the lagging issue. Let's focus on the lesson. Participate the best you can, all right? And make do with the connection or the picture quality that you're getting. Remember, the focus here is not on how clear the picture is, but on whether you can hear me and participate in the lesson and answer the questions or pose the questions related to the topic, all right? Let's not make the technology and the picture quality the focus of this lesson. Okay, are we all ready? Good. Now let's get on with our lesson today on grammar, specifically on tenses, all right? So I'll be looking at simple present, present continuous, present perfect, and present perfect continuous, all right? There'll be simple past as well, okay? So we'll be doing the past forms of all these tenses as well. Okay, good, let's move on, all right? Now, before I go into tenses, just a quick review. We kind of covered word functions, I believe, very briefly in the last session. So I'm just going to cover it very quickly in this session before I move into tenses, okay? So word functions, right? Now, as you all know, we learned the rule subject-verb agreement, all right? Very quickly, can you all type in to the live chat what you remember I said about the subject-verb agreement rule? Anyone? Everyone? Just type a very quick response into the live stream. What exactly did I teach you about subject and verb agreement? Let's see. All right, very good. Thank you, Joseph. Right, Chloe and Jaden, I'm aware you weren't at the last live stream, but please respond to the question, okay? Okay, wonderful. Yes, good. Thank you, Joseph. All right. One puts s after the verb is correct but incomplete. Okay, so one subject, right? If the subject is singular, one puts s after the verb. All right. What is the second part of this rule? What if the subject is plural? What if there are many subjects? Then what does it become? Right, very good. So many does not put s after the verb. By the way, everybody, are you all able to see the image on the live stream? Any problems with the image? All right, thank you. Right, good. Everybody gets the correct rule. Okay, thank you, everyone. You're able to see the image. Okay, wonderful. All right. There may be an issue. I'm not sure. What is the issue? Okay. All right. Give me a minute, everyone. Let me just try to solve this issue. All right. Okay, there we go. All right. Okay, great. All right, no problems. All right, let's move on. Okay, so as I was saying, for those of you who were not around for the last presentation, the last live stream, let me just recap. The word function basically refers to a role that a word plays in a sentence. So for example, in this case, the sentence, Jaden Liao tells the class jokes during snack time every day. Jaden Liao is the subject. All right, Jaden Liao is the subject. Okay, so he is the person, the actor who makes the action of telling the class jokes, right? So Jaden is the subject. And can you all tell me, in this sentence, Jaden Liao tells the class jokes during snack time every day, what is the object? So the object is the thing which the action is done to. So Jaden is the subject. What is the object? Please enter in. Oh yeah, very good. Well done, Jaden. Chloe. Oh, very good. Interesting. Some of you say jokes. Some of you say the class. Okay. Is it joke or is it class? Right. So what does Jaden tell? In other words, what is this action tell acting on? Is it telling jokes or is it telling class? Yes, exactly. Telling jokes, right? So the word jokes is the object of the sentence. So that's exactly what word function is. Jaden Liao, in this case a proper noun, is functioning as the subject, and jokes is the object, meaning the thing which the action is done to. Jaden tells jokes, right? Jaden, subject, tells, verb, jokes, object. So Jaden, the subject, agrees with tells, the verb. One subject, Jaden Liao, tells, puts s after the verb. Subject, object, verb. These are word functions, all right? So very simple. Just remember this very important rule, okay? The subject and not the object will agree with the verb. Never look at the object, always look at the subject. The subject, verb, agreement, rule, not object, verb, agreement, rule. Chloe asked the question, why isn't class the object? Well, because class is not what the action is acting on. The action is acting on the jokes. You tell jokes, right? You tell jokes to the class. Am I right? So the telling refers to the jokes. The telling doesn't refer to the class. You tell jokes to the class. Do you get it? You don't tell the class to the jokes. That would make absolutely no sense whatsoever. So Jaden Liao tells jokes to the class. Jokes is the object or the thing which the action is acting on directly. It's the object. Okay? Later on, we will learn direct and indirect objects. Then we will learn that the class is actually an indirect object. Because action doesn't act on it directly. Okay, but for now, let's just keep it simple. Jaden Liao is the subject, and Jokes is the object of the action, tells. I hope that explains it. Very good, Chloe. Well done. So, remember the subject, remember the object, and remember the verb. These are important words that we'll need further on down the road, because we must always remember that only the subject and not the object agrees with the verb. Alright, so look at the second one. The second example. Alison squeezes all the Pusheen toys fiercely. Alison squeezes all the Pusheen toys fiercely. Now it's very interesting to note. Alright, so let's say I have many toys here. Alright, okay. Alison squeezes all the Pusheen toys fiercely. Who is the subject of the sentence Alison squeezes all the Pusheen toys fiercely? Who is the subject? Right, very good. That's right. Okay, I'm sure everybody agrees that the subject is Alison. It's easy to identify the subject, right? The subject usually appears at the front of a sentence, right? Alison, exactly. Now, why is it not the Pusheen toys? Simply because, remember subject-verb agreement rule. Alison, right? Alison is one person. Alison squeezes. So, one puts S after the verb squeeze, making it squeezes. Alright? All the Pusheen toys, they're plural, right? There's more than one of them, right? There are three, in this case, three soft toys. They're not Pusheens, but they're soft toys. And the three of them don't agree with the verb. Because if it was object-verb agreement rule, then it would be squeeze without an S, because many, no S after the verb. So always remember, in a sentence, the subject agrees with the verb. And if that word agrees with the verb, it is the subject, because only subjects agree with the verb, never objects. Not the Pusheen toys, only Alison. Okay, so this is a super important rule to remember, because it works both ways. You can use it to identify the subject of a sentence, and you can use it to identify the verb and the form that it should take in a sentence. Okay, I hope that all of you understand. Great. All right. Yes, Pusheen is the object. Perfect. Yes, Xavier. Excellent. So the subject is Alison. Alison agrees with the verb. Subject-verb agreement. Not the Pusheen toys, because Pusheen toys are the object and they do not agree with the verb. You can ignore the object when you're doing subject-verb agreement rule, because only the subject agrees with the verb. Everybody clear about this? Excellent. You guys are amazing. And thank you all for your responses. Okay, great. Okay, now let's move on to the application of subject, verb, and object, which is in active and passive sentences. Okay, so if you remember correctly, active sentences, right, you've learned this in class, have the subject in front. And passive sentences have the object in front. So the object and the subject will switch places and the verb will change. So can you see now why I need to know who is the subject, who is the object, and what is the verb, right? If I know them, I can change them around from active to passive and from passive back to active again. And I can form some really interesting sentences that way, all right? Okay, so very quickly, transforming an active sentence into its passive form, 2 steps. 1, subject, object, switch places. Subject, object, right? Hippo, kicked, duck, psh, right? So hippo, kicked, psh, duck. Hippo is the subject, the person who initiates the action, and duck is the object, the person the action is done to. In this case, kick, right? So hippo kicked duck. Ow, wah. Haha. Alright, so done. in order to change this sentence from active to passive, duck and hippo must change places. So, done. Alright, suddenly, duck has moved to the front and hippo has moved to the back. So now I've changed the position of the subject and the object. Now the object is in front and the subject is behind. Next, I've got to change the verb kicked. I can't say duck kicked hippo because that would change the meaning of the sentence. And remember, the meaning must not change. That's rule number 1. So, duck was kicked by hippo. Duck was kicked by hippo. Again, swap. Hippo kicked duck. Swap. Duck was kicked by hippo. Duck was kicked by hippo. So, passive is when the object becomes the subject. Active is when the subject is in front of the sentence. Okay? So this was what we learned in its simplified form, right? Okay, right. Let's focus not on the emotions of it, but on the actual principle of active-passive voice. So first step, subject-object switch. Second step, verb form changes into was kicked by. Alright, very simple. Oscar counted the pink flamingos. Oscar, subject, counted verb, the pink flamingos, object. Pink flamingos moves to the front. If I want to change it to passive form, Oscar moves to the back. So if I say the pink flamingos counted Oscar, is that correct? No, absolutely wrong. Okay, so definitely cannot leave it like that because meaning has changed. So the pink flamingos were counted by Oscar. Alright, so many pink flamingos. Now remember, the subject has changed from Oscar to the pink flamingos. And now the pink flamingos are many. So many, no S after the verb. I cannot say the pink flamingos was counted by Oscar. I have to say the pink flamingos were counted by Oscar. Alright, do you guys get it? Do you understand active-passive voice? Alright, great. Wonderful. Okay, right, sorry about that. Anyways, don't worry about the blocked words. Alright, I've read it out, right? You can hear me. Okay? Let's not focus on the unimportant parts of the presentation. Okay, tell me if you understand active-passive voice. Give me a thumbs up or a smiley face or an okay if you understand and I can move on to tenses. Perfect. If you have any questions, great. Thank you very much. Good. Thank you, Shaden. I see your thumbs up. Daya, Jared, Chloe, Joyce, Chun Xian. Not sure who that is. John, Chun Hong, Jaden. Alright, Ching Yi, Ziting, Nikki, wonderful. Reese, Jancis, thank you. Right, Jia En, great. Sishan. Okay, Joseph, got it. Okay, perfect. Jaden Teo, Xavier. Wonderful, guys. Excellent. So all of you know now that active-passive voice is pretty simple. Switch the place of the subject and the object, then make sure that your verb form changes, and your verb must now agree with the new subject. Whatever the new subject is, that was the object before. Alright? Great. Let's move to tensors, finally. Okay, so this is the second last part of today's presentation. I'm going to go super fast, okay? And along the way, I'll try to ask you some questions to keep you on your toes, okay? But stay with me. We are coming to the end. I'll try to finish before 9 o'clock, right? So, very quickly, right? Simple present tense. Wasn't supposed to show. Right. Anyone? Simple present tense. When do we use it? Quickly, you should know this by heart. Right? Is simple present tense ever used for what is happening right now? Never. What is it used for? Quickly, respond. Is it ever used for simple present or what is happening right now? Never. What do we use simple present tense for? I run every day. The sun rises in the west. Oops, it rises in the east. Sorry about that. The sun rises in the east. I run every morning. James likes to eat pancakes every day. Very good. Thank you, Chun Hong. So always remember this, that whatever you use simple present tense for must be a fact, a habit, or something you prefer or like. So I've added that on, okay? So a simple present tense form is only used when you are expressing a fact, a habitual or regularly occurring occurrence, or a preference. So Mr. Tan is handsome. It's a fact. Wayne does Tai Chi in the park every morning is a habit. And Mrs. Tan loves fast cars. She loves to drive fast cars. That's a preference. Okay, so fact, habit, and preference. I've added on preference this year. Last year I taught you fact or habit. Okay, right. Fact or habit, okay. Alright, so simple present tense is, does, loves, used for fact, habit, or preference. Okay, it is never used to denote what's happening right now. There is a different tense for that. We'll cover that. Again, if I'm speaking too fast, you can slow me down later on when you play back this video, alright? But I have to breeze through because I want to finish up before 9 o'clock. And you can always review, slow down, and repeat this video later at your own leisure. So simple present tense, never used for what's happening now. That is actually the present continuous tense, which we're going to cover later, right? It is often used for a fact, a habit, or a preference, or something that you like to do, okay? And the verb is always in its base form, meaning I don't change the verb by adding ing, ed, or by adding any additional verbs to it. It is just the verb in its base form, in the present tense base form. Alright, so that's simple present tense. Okay? Denote means it's never used to represent or point to what is happening in the present. Denote means represents or points to. Okay, great. Now let's go into the partner of simple present, which is simple past. Okay? Right, so I've just explained what is denote, right? Please refer to what I just said. Okay, so simple past tense. An event that occurs in an unspecified time in the past. Okay? So for example, Ziting ate a dozen Hello Kitty biscuits. When did she eat it? We don't know. It's not specified. Unspecified means I did not clearly state. In order for me to specify, I need to add an additional word, an adverb of time. Like yesterday, last night, the previous month, 3 years ago. Alright? So, ate, the simple past form, the verb ate is in its base form, it's not changed, and it doesn't give me any information about when this event happened, except that it happened in the past. So when I say, Ziting ate a dozen Hello Kitty biscuits, the next question you would ask me is, but when did she eat them? Was it yesterday? Was it last month? Was it 5,000 years ago? Was it ancient history? Or was it just a moment ago? So all of these are words that I need to add to the end of that sentence in order to give me the time. The simple past tense form tells me something occurs in the past, but it does not tell me when, unless I add a word or words to tell me. So in this case, the word I added was yesterday. And yesterday tells me that Ziting ate a dozen Hello Kitty biscuits yesterday. Without the word yesterday, I wouldn't know when. Alright, so that's simple past. So remember, again, simple present, never used for the present, only used for habit, fact, and preference. Simple past denotes something that happens in the past. It can be used for past events, but it doesn't tell you when in the past this event occurred. Alright, great. So now let's move on. Great. Alright. Moving along, perfect. You guys are really attentive. I'm glad to hear. Okay. Yes, that's right. Chloe, you are right. Adverbs end with ly. Okay, but not all adverbs end with ly. Most of them do. Some adverbs don't. Alright, so there are adverbs of time that do not end with ly. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, now present continuous form. Alright, let's take a look at this. A present continuous tense, like I mentioned earlier on, is any verb that tells you something that's happening right now and has not yet stopped. In other words, this action continues into the future. So for example, Kaylin is dancing around the tree. right? Is Kaylin right now dancing around the tree? Yes. Is she still dancing around the tree when I'm finishing my speech? Yes. So she continues dancing. She hasn't stopped yet, right? So a currently occurring event which continues into the future, that's present continuous. So if I want to say something is happening right now, I'll use the present continuous tense. For example, you are listening to me now. You are listening to me now. Are listening, present continuous. Right now, and I hope you will continue to listen to me as this video progresses into the future. So present continuous tense is a very powerful way to tell your audience or readers that an event is right now in the process of happening and will continue to happen with no foreseeable end. Unless you say until, right? Until I'm finished or until this night is over. These are some ways to put an end to the present continuous act or event, okay? So present continuous tenses usually occur, always occur, I would say, with is or are, with present, right? Is or are, depending on whether it's a present continuous singular subject or present continuous plural subject, okay? So is singular, are is plural. And always remember, is and are in this case will carry the tense of the verb, not the ing form, which is called the present participle. So if we look at Kaylin is dancing, is carries the present tense, and dancing does not. Dancing is simply the ing form or the present participle form of the verb dance. So dancing does not carry the tense, is carries the tense. If I want to change, okay, let me see. Alright, let me see. I think that some of you getting a little bit distracted. Please note that if I notice there's a pattern in the way that you are distracting the rest in the live chat, I can and will eject you from this broadcast. And once I do so, you will no longer have any access to this video or be able to participate in the chats, right? I will be able to delete your message and ban you from this chat. Let me begin by deleting the message that Jaden Teo has posted, all right, just to illustrate the point. Okay, now Jaden, please stop posting needless emoticons. If this happens again, I will eject you from this chat or anybody else that's distracting the rest, okay? So everybody else, if this happens again, please let Mr. Pang know and I will eject the person who's distracting the rest from this video because the purpose of this session is to learn and I'd like everybody to focus on the content and not on the interactions, okay? So if anybody's distracting you, let me know. Thank you all for bearing with each other. Okay, so as I was saying, present continuous, a very powerful way to tell when something is happening right now and continuing on into the future. It always takes the form of is or are, right? You cannot use has or have with present continuous. You can never have has eating or have dancing. It does not work. There is no such grammar form for it. So when you're talking about continuous tenses, it always only takes on is, are for present or was, were for past continuous. All right? So be very careful how you use this. Never use has, have, had with continuous or present participle forms, ing forms, right? They always only take is or are. All right? Good question. All right? Yes, am is or are, right? Is, are, or am, okay? But am is rare because usually it just functions with I, right? I've used the more common forms is and are here because is and are take on multiple subjects, right? He is, the boy is, James is, they are, the boys are, James and Alan are. So that's by far the more common usage, is, are. But you're right, Daya. Am also does function with continuous forms. All right, so good. Yeah, well done. Okay. Had been dancing is different. It's not continuous, right? Look at had been dancing. Had been dancing is past continuous perfect or past perfect continuous. Remember, we're talking about continuous here, not perfect continuous, all right? We'll come to that later, all right? But it's good. You're asking questions. You're getting a little bit more clarity, okay? I am eating is acceptable, Xavier. That's right. I am eating is present continuous. So am, is, are all function together with the present participle form ing. All right. Has been dancing, Genesis, is present perfect continuous. Remember, we are talking about present continuous here. We are not talking about present perfect. The been tells you is perfect continuous. So in this case, I'm talking about present continuous. We will cover perfect later. That's one of the later tense forms. So let's be patient. We'll get there. For now, let's come back to present continuous and look at the form that it takes, right? So present continuous, he is swimming. They are eating. You cannot say they has eaten or they have eaten. It doesn't work. They are eating. He is eating. All right? They have been eating. Now that's present perfect continuous. We're going to learn that later. For now, the been is not there. So it's is eating, are eating, am eating. Those work. All right? Great. I'm glad that you asked this. Okay, Chloe, hold on. We'll get to that later. All right? Just focus on what I'm currently covering. Let's not go ahead of ourselves here. Do you understand present continuous? If you do, then I'll move on very quickly. Chloe? Okay, great. All right, great. So let's move on now from present continuous to past continuous. Now, past continuous is a little bit more tricky. Present continuous, we're talking about a currently occurring event that carries on into the future, right? Past continuous is challenging. Okay, good, great. I'm glad everybody understands. Now, take a look at this, all right? A past continuous tense is only used when there are two events, all right? When something that's going on continuously in the past is interrupted by another thing. So there are always two events when you're using past continuous. So for example, Ingrid was laughing when Mrs. Tan entered the classroom. So there are two events here. Ingrid laughing, Mrs. Tan entering the classroom. Which one is continuously happening? Ingrid laughing, right? So Ingrid is laughing, ha 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 ha. In the process of Ingrid laughing, in the middle of her laughing, Mrs. Tan entered the room. So something is happening and something else interrupts that thing. That's when you use past continuous. Okay? So Ingrid was laughing when Mrs. Tan entered the room. Ongoing event, Ingrid was laughing. Interruption, Mrs. Tan entered the classroom. Alright? So let me give you another example. Mr. Pang was teaching online when the lights went out. Right? Sudden blackout. So which is the ongoing event? Mr. Pang was teaching online. What was the interruption to that continuous and ongoing event? There was a blackout, right? And suddenly all the lights went out and Mr. Pang disappeared into the darkness. Okay? So that is the way we use past continuous tense. Was laughing when Mrs. Tan entered the room. Mr. Pang was teaching when the lights went out, when there was a blackout. Okay? Right. Right, very good. Okay? So, yes, teaching is the ongoing action and the blackout is the interruption. Perfect. Okay. Now, take a look at the form that it takes. Okay? So, past continuous is similar to present continuous in form, but instead of is and are, we always have was and were. It's the past tense form of is and are, right? So is and are carried the tense for present continuous. Was and were carries the tense for past continuous. And remember, it's different from present continuous in that there are always two events. There must be two events. James was drinking water when he choked. So ongoing event, drinking water, glug, 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 glug. sudden interruption. He choked. Okay, so ongoing event, sudden interruption. Past continuous tense is used for this and only this type of scene. Okay? Can you all now construct for me a sentence which has an ongoing event and a sudden interruption? Go ahead, type your sentences into the live stream. I'd like to take a look. Okay, so this is an important tense and I want to spend some time for all of you to practice. Okay, why don't you go ahead and form a sentence? There, I am laughing refers to present continuous. I don't want present continuous, I want past continuous. Okay, present continuous does not have the same function as past continuous. Alright? Chun Hong, James was sleeping when the phone rang. Perfect. Right? So James was sleeping is the ongoing event, and the phone rang is the interruption. Perfect. Mr. Pang was live streaming when his face cam blacked out. Perfect. So live streaming, ongoing event, suddenly face cam blacked out. Perfect. Yes. Okay. Wonderful. He was winning the game when his mother told him to stop. Very good. So he was winning. He was in the process of winning when his mother told him to stop. Wonderful. Okay. Lisa was playing when the doorbell rang. Perfect. So was playing. Doorbell rang. Interruption. Perfect. Tom was watching the television when the phone rang. Perfect. Nikki, well done. Driving when the deer jumped onto the road. Yes. Perfect. Shaden. I was watching television when the doorbell rang. Yes, Jun Xian. Good job. Was eating lunch when my mother called him. Very good. Wonderful, Jared. I was doing homework when the light went out. Perfect, Zitine. Lily was sleeping when his mother called me. Yes, great job, Jaden Liao. Okay. James was singing when the doorbell rang. Yes, Joseph. Wonderful. Okay, so all of you have the hang of it. Basically, past continuous refers to an ongoing event that is interrupted by something else, a second event that happens after that. Okay, Ashton, I was doing my homework and the lights went off. Yes, thank you very much. Great job. Jaden, Teo, I was laughing when the teacher came in the classroom. Very good. Came into the classroom. Perfect. Okay, wonderful. All right, let me move on. So, very quick summary of what we've just covered. So, simple present, fact, habit, preference. Simple past, something that happens in an unspecified past time, unless I add a word to tell me when. Present continuous, something that is occurring right now and carries on into the future. Past continuous, two events that happen. One is ongoing and another which interrupts it. Okay? So there are different forms. If you can't remember them, you can refer to my slides and review this video at a later time. Let me move on now to Chloe's earlier question on the perfect tense. Okay? There we go. Present perfect. Alright? So remember just now Chloe was asking has, right? Has or have? Yes, here we go. Right? So present perfect is an event which occurs in the immediate past and is just completed, or something that happens in the past and continues into the present. So it's different from present continuous. It doesn't start in the present and continue in the future and is continuous. No, it started in the past and it continues into the present. So give you an example, something that happens in the past and is completed. Damien has finished or has just finished solving the Rubik Cube in record time. Right, Damien has just finished solving the Rubik Cube in record time. Just finished. 1 second ago, he just finished. He has finished. Okay, or it could be something that has happened in the past and continues right now into the future. Slightly different from present continuous tense in that it deals more with the duration or state of something. So in this case, Derek has attended student care in Sim Lim Primary School since 2016. Has attended since. Always come together when I'm talking about something that is taking place over a fixed duration of time and continues into the future, foreseeably. So Derek has attended student care from 2016 to 2017 to 2018, and it's now 2019. He's still attending student care, and he might and probably will continue to attend student care in 2020. Alright, so present perfect. Alright, different from present continuous in that it, instead of having is or are, it uses has or have, and it is accompanied by a past participle form. Has finished or has attended, right? So instead of ing, present perfect form takes on the ed participle form or the past participle form, finished, attended, has finished, has attended, or they have finished, or they have attended. Okay? Alright, yes. Okay? Yes, very good, Chloe. Good observation. Anytime you see the word since, tells you that the action has not yet stopped. Good question. And yes, you are right, Chloe. So, I have been a teacher since 1985. No, that can't be right. It's probably still in primary school in 1985. Was I still alive? Maybe not yet. Okay, anyways, so I have been a champion chess player since 2015. Right, so am I still a champion chess player? Yes. Am I still playing chess? Yes. Will I still continue to be a champion? Probably. Will I still continue to play chess? Very, very likely. Alright, so very good. Since tells me that it's an action that is not yet ended. But if I don't have the word since, probably that means that the action has already ended and it's just recently ended. I have finished my lunch. When did I finish? Just a moment ago. I have eaten Derek. When did I eat Derek? Just a second ago. Yummy. Okay, so you guys get the point? Right, great. Okay, John, let's keep it relevant, Okay, so now, present perfect is something that happened in the immediate past that has just ended or will continue in the future. Past perfect, again, is the more tricky one, alright? So, remember just now, past continuous was when I had two events, one interrupts the other. In this case, in past perfect, it's also two events, alright? So remember the past forms tend to have two events. Past continuous, two events. Past perfect, two events. But in this case, it's not one interrupting the other, it's one occurring before the other. So there's a sequence, an order to it, okay? So let's take a look. Caleb had crushed all the cookies by the time Mr. Bang arrived and tried to buy some. So, which happened first? Did the cookies get crushed first, or did Mr. Pang arrive first? Answer please. Let's see. Were the cookies crushed first, or did Mr. Pang arrive first? Oh, actually, yeah, it's kind of already there. The answer's already there. Yes. Chloe, isn't that like interrupting? Yeah, that's right. Good. No, it's not. It's not the same. Okay. So in the case of past continuous, Caleb was crushing all the cookies when Mr. Pang arrived. Caleb is still crushing, was still crushing, and Mr. Pang interrupted him. So Caleb, ongoing action, Mr. Pang interrupted. Right, Chloe? But here in past perfect, Caleb had crushed all the cookies by the time Mr. Pang arrived. When Mr. Pang arrived, all the cookies were already crushed. So Caleb had already crushed the cookies. One thing happened. Then Mr. Pang arrived after he had finished crushing them all. The next thing happened. So one after another. Alright? So it's different. Past continuous, one thing's happening, in the middle of that interrupted by the second thing. Past perfect, one thing has happened, finished happening, then the second thing happens after that. Aye, yes. So happy that you're asking these questions, and these are very important questions. Thank you for asking them. You guys are amazing. Good questions. I love it. Right? And these questions and my answers hopefully helps you understand the difference between the tenses. Because when you write a composition, using these tenses correctly is kind of like using the right brush when you're painting a picture. If you have a big portion, you want to use a big brush. If you have a small, delicate section, you want to use a smaller brush. So tenses are like that. Use some tenses for some functions, other tenses for others. Don't use the same past tense, the same present tense for everything you're writing. Then your writing gets very boring, okay? So when I'm teaching you tenses, always have writing in mind. How do I write more effectively? More interesting, vivid, and exciting stories using different kinds of tenses, okay? So past perfect, very good for two events, one happening after another. By the time the police arrived on the scene, the robbers had fled. So what happened first? The robbers had fled. Then the police arrived. Were they too late? You betcha, they were too late. So the robbers had fled the scene by the time the police arrived. perfectly expresses how the robbers were just able to get away before the policemen arrived on the scene. By the time the police arrived, the robbers had fled. Past perfect. But if I want to show how the police arrested the robbers red-handed, then I'd say the robbers were fleeing when the police arrived. The robbers were fleeing when the police arrived. In this case, did the police catch the robbers? Absolutely. They were fleeing, meaning they hadn't completely successfully fled. They were in the process of fleeing when the police arrived and caught them. So can you see how changing the tense beautifully changes the meaning of my writing and changes the action entirely? Alright? So it's really amazing. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay. Again, please stop commenting about the lag. Sorry, can you identify yourself? Who is Esther Quack again? I apologize for not recognizing that name. Who is Esther Quack? Please identify yourself. Oof, it's getting a bit warm. Mr. Pang has been moving around a lot. Martin, right, okay. Right, Joseph, Martin, please stop commenting about the lag. Live with it. There's nothing that can be done. So you're distracting the others when you're making the comment in a live stream. This live stream is only for questions, answers, and comments. So please try to restrict your comments to what is relevant to the lesson. Okay, I'm already running over time, so time is precious, right? Please stop talking about something that cannot be changed in the midst of this live stream. I already mentioned earlier on, and you were around, Martin, when I said it. You can rewatch this. You can watch it after I post it on Edmodo. Please stop commenting about the lag because it's very distracting to the rest to have to read your comments, right? To the rest of you, thank you so much for being on task, asking very relevant questions, talking about what I've said and agreeing with the rest and giving them confirmation. This is the kind of perfect behavior I want to see on the live stream, all right? So Joseph, Martin, please stop commenting about the lag. This is the last warning. I don't want to have to ban you or to eject you from this chat, all right? If you have a complaint, you can always reload it again or wait until I've posted this stream and then you can comment then, all right? So let's get back to it. Past perfect, everybody is clear? So past perfect, past continuous share some similarities. They talk about two events happening. Past continuous is an interruption. Past perfect is a sequence, right? One happening after another, okay? Wonderful. If you all understand, can you please give me a thumbs up or an okay? Just a very quick one. All right? Don't flood or spam the live stream. Just give me a thumbs up, an okay sign, or a smiley face to show me that you fully understand. If you don't, just ask any questions and I'll try to answer and clarify for you like I did for Chloe and for a few of you later. Wonderful. Perfect. Thank you guys. Great. Yes. All right, wonderful. Thank you all. Yeah, great. Perfect. Okay, Joseph, please explain why there's a question mark. If you have a question, please ask the question. The question mark is not helpful in helping Mr. Pang understand what you don't know. And I've removed that message. All right, perfect. Thank you. All right, let's move on. Last two, I promise you, then we'll end the live stream. I don't think I'll go into imperatives today. It's been a bit heavy going. There have been a lot of questions, which is good. All right. So Joseph, I put you in timeout. If you continue to do this, I will ban you from this channel and you will no longer be able to access the live stream. So please abide by the agreed upon codes of conduct as we are conducting this chat. Okay? I will not warn you twice. All right, let's move on. Present perfect continuous. Oh, what a mouthful. Okay? So, like, remember right at the beginning when we were talking about present continuous, Chloe asked about what about has been eating? Right? Has been eating is not present continuous. It's present perfect continuous, and the word been, B-E-E-N, tells me that this is a present perfect continuous, right? Because been is the perfect form of be, all right? So Jermaine has been eating, right? Present perfect continuous usually talks about something which occurs in the immediate past and is completed. Very similar to present perfect, isn't it? Right? So has eaten. All right. So in this case, present perfect continuous is very seldom used in writing, right? But we still have to learn it in grammar because it is a form of a tense, right? So get used to it because this very often appears in like your grammar MCQs, like in your editing and like in other grammar sections of your paper 2. Not so much in paper 1 when you're writing a composition. Usually you can get by with using present perfect, but here it is, right? Jermaine has been eating the bear's porridge since this morning. It's all gone. She's been eating it since this morning. It's all gone, right? So you notice it's very similar to present perfect. Very similar, right? Martin has been learning Taekwondo since the dawn of time. All right? Since the dawn of time. Okay? Great. All right. Welcome, John. You just joined us. Okay? So remember again, present perfect continuous occurs with has or have with the perfect form been, has been or have been, and then the ing form of the verb. Has been eating, have been eating, has been singing, have been singing, usually occurs when you're describing something that happens in the immediate past. I have been singing karaoke since 5 o'clock this evening. All right? So usually that's the kind of structure that we use for present perfect continuous. All right? And the verb is in its present participle form ing. Has been, Martin has been, the boys have been, all right? Martin has been learning, the boys have been learning, all right? Okay. Yes, since, correct, immediate past occurs or continues in the present. Yeah, exactly, kind of almost similar to present perfect, right? So either something that occurs in the immediate past and is completed, or something that happens in the past and continues into the present, okay? So whenever I see the word since, it's still continuing. Whenever I don't see the word since, it's just ended. All right, it's all gone. It's just finished. Okay? Yes, perfect. All right. Past perfect continuous. Okay? Again, an event which occurs very similar to present perfect continuous, an event which occurs in the past and is completed in the past. Okay? So Jermaine had been eating the bear's porridge for an hour when they returned home. Okay? So again here, you actually see that it's an event that occurs in the past, had been eating the bear's porridge, right? And then they return home. She had been eating for an hour when they returned home. Two events happening in the past, one event happening after the other, but both happening in the past. Okay, so again, this is very similar to past continuous and past perfect. Okay. Okay, another example. All right. Let's see. Let's see. Mr. Pang had been sewing his trousers for the entire morning when suddenly an elf appeared. Okay, so he had been sewing for the entire morning. Mr. Pang had been sewing for the entire morning. And then suddenly, something else occurred in the process of him doing it. So, up until the point where the elf appeared, Mr. Pang had been sewing his trousers. Okay, so Mr. Pang had been sewing his trousers for the entire morning. So there's a duration to how long Mr. Pang had been doing that action when another action occurred. So Mr. Pang had been singing for the entire morning when suddenly he lost his voice. Okay? Yes. Okay. Perfect. Ziting, you got it. I had been sleeping for an hour when my mother came home. I had been sleeping for an hour when my mother came home. So there was a duration to the action that occurred in the past, and it ended, and then something else happened after it. So in this case, I had been sleeping for an hour. This action took place in an hour, and then my mother arrived home. This event occurred after that hour of me sleeping. Okay, great. All right. No, it's not interrupting, not in that sense. It's more like sequential with duration. So there's a sequence, first action that happens within a duration, then a second action happens, okay? So Germaine had been eating the bear's porridge for an hour, so she had been eating for an hour, right? There was a duration of her eating, right? And then when that time was up, the bears returned home, right? So there is that idea that one thing happened, but it didn't just happen without a duration, it happened within a fixed duration, and then something else happened after that. Again, like I said, present perfect continuous and past perfect continuous are seldom used in writing because they are rather clumsy tenses, and there are other tense types that can function like them or very, very similar to them. So I wouldn't recommend you using them in writing, but you have to know the structures because they do occur in grammar, in paper 2, in editing, in synthesis even. So be very careful, especially in reported speech, right? Remember when I open up from dialogue into reported speech, I have to change present to past, past to past perfect, right? And sometimes past perfect to past perfect continuous. So be very careful when you're learning this tense because it usually appears in synthesis and some parts of grammar. So we do need to know this. All right, yes, Jaden, very good. Very good, Joyce. Yes, that's a good example. Yes, these do occur quite frequently in grammar, MCQ, in synthesis, like I said, in editing, right? So you do need to know the present and the past perfect continuous tenses, even though they are seldom used in writing. You will find very few novels, short stories, published writers who use the present or past perfect continuous tense simply because they're rather clumsy and rather long and rather, difficult to craft beautiful sentences using them, but they are a grammatical item that often are tested. Okay, so you must be quite knowledgeable about this. Okay, you're amazing. Okay. All right, you guys are amazing. Actually, this has gone on for an hour. Perfect attention, all of you, amazing. All right. Okay, be very careful. Jian has been sleeping is present perfect continuous. We're talking about past perfect continuous, so it has to be had been sleeping, right? When Mr. Hippo kicked it, all right, or slapped it, all right. Oh, okay. Wow. Okay, like I said, we're stopping here tonight. I'm not going to go into imperatives. I actually want to talk about imperatives, but I'm not going to go into that today, all right? We'll have another separate day for it. For those of you who were not around for the first live stream, I strongly recommend these two holiday activities, okay? You can check my live stream post on Edmodo. I've put some links to these two different pretty fun activities. You can attend this workshop in Toa Payoh HDB Hub Atrium on Singapore literature. Singapore writers are going to be there to sign your books for you if you buy and support them. Support local writers, please, everybody. It's called Hello Singlit. It's at HDB Hub at Toa Payoh. Starting from today all the way until Sunday, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. every day. Those of you interested in poetry, you can sign up for Eco Poetry by Singapore Young Writers Lab, and they teach you how to write poetry to save the earth, right? So poems that teach people about conservation, green living, zero energy waste, that sort of thing. Pretty interesting. I've attached the links for these two events in my Edmodo post. So if you're interested, head over to Edmodo. You can look at my live stream part 1 and you'll see the links below. And I'll be posting this video in Edmodo as well under part 2 of my grammar review. I'm done for the night. I am no longer going to be talking about grammar, right? You guys are amazing. You stayed with me for an hour. You were able to answer my questions. I love you guys. You're amazing.